My name is Marcus Morgan, and I farm cherries here in the Dalles and have been doing it since I was a little boy, and have grown up on a cherry orchard, and I've been farming all my life. My parents owned the cherry orchard, and so my first job was bucket boy, and this is back when they had galvanized steel buckets. And so I just remember the pickers saying, "Botes, botes," and screaming and yelling, so I'd have to rally the little four-wheeler and bounce around with the bucket trailer and go get them the buckets so they can pick the cherries and have buckets to dump into. And so that was my beginning job in the cherry farming deal. And then I moved up to swamping. Oh, great was the day when we switched from the metal buckets to the plastic buckets. Much lighter, easier to carry. And so then I transitioned into swamping back when we took the buckets and drove a bin trailer and tractor through the orchard and put the full buckets into the bin trailer. And so did that for a while, and partly responsible for the big arms I have now. And then I guess there's four of us Morgan boys, my brothers and I, and I guess I was the one that had the closest relationship with the pickers, and just really liked learning Spanish and speaking Spanish, and it kind of set me up to be the crew boss and run the cherry orchard. But I'm in charge of the whole orchard and buying chemicals, scouting for pests, for looking, everything from the ground up, from fixing things to checking soil moisture content and doing irrigation scheduling and turning on and off sprinklers or lines and checking them. I really love pruning the cherry trees and developing that structure, and we've got in a real good rotation of fruiting wood, and I call them money sticks. They've attending all the pruning seminars and pruning tours have learned that the upright wood is the wood that grows the best fruit, and so we grow upright wood. We don't have much pendulum wood or flat wood, and so we're able to grow big cherries, big firm cherries, and so my dad says I'm natural at it. I don't know, I just enjoy doing it, and we usually hire a little crew, 10 to 15 people, and prune the cherries. It takes us about 5 weeks to do that, and another thing, I love driving the tractors, spraying all night long. We spray all at night. The wind is always the best, and we believe that the leaves take in a little bit more, are more absorbing. So I love just the night stars in the sky and being out there by myself in the tractor. And our cherry orchard is like really steep, and so there's a few places where I'm like holding the back of this chair, and my foot's on the clutch ready to push it in, the other foot's ready to push the brake, and I'm just praying each row I go down that I'm gonna stop at the end and turn and go up the other side, and it's so steep that I have to spray it with a half a tank, never go in there full tank. It's always hard to find tractor drivers, and we've had one time where this guy out of California, he said, "Oh, I've been driving a tractor for 20 years. It's like, all right, great, this is going to be good. And we put him out there driving tractor, and he gets on one of the steeper hillsides, and they're screaming at me. I was like, what the heck? So I run up there or fly up there on the four-wheeler, and the guy is, I can't stop the tractor. And I'm, push in the clutch and push on the brakes. And he had it like in too low, and he was pushing on the brakes, but you can't stop the torque of the tractor because it's too low. It's in second gear low, and he's got a lot of power, and he was used to driving in California for 20 years where it's flat. Well, it's a little different story when you get on those hillsides, and anyway, so he jumps off while it's crawling down the hill. I jump on, push in the clutch, and then push on the brake and stop it. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe this guy's not going to work out for him. And we're fortunate to be in that spot of having a good core group of pickers to pick our crop. But one concern in the industry is the lack of workers, and there's a lot of farmers struggle getting enough people to pick their crops or work in their crops. Another thing my dad and I did, we decided to do, is switch to bush trees. And Kim Green from Australia came up and started to talk about bush trees, and there was a system, a cherry tree that could be picked from the ground, no more ladders needed. And with that comes also an efficiency of picking. We can pick a lot more acres in less time with fewer people. So if we did get in the spot where our labor, picking labor, was short, we could still pick as much as we did before with introducing these bush trees to our farm. And so now we have, probably 25% of our orchard is these they call it a pedestrian type orchard. I really think that there has to be some kind of automated harvesting going on. There already is in the processing side of cherries. I think young growers should really consider setting up some blocks, especially when this whole crisis of labor is looming, and I can see it in our pickers. I look at the generations that are in there. The old ones or the moms and dads and grandpas are almost done in their 60s, and it's a hard life picking, and they're almost going to retire. And then the ones that are 30s and 40s, yeah, they're going to be doing it until they're older, but that's a smaller amount. And then the kids, they're all in high school, and they speak English. I speak more Spanish than they do, and I'm not fluent, but I know more Spanish than they do, and that's the last thing that they want to do is pick cherries. And so in time, this generational thing will transition, and we'll have to come up with some other method of picking cherries, and I think mechanical harvesting is one of them. And on our farm, I would like to start a trellis system of a V shape, and hopefully on the marketing side, they could, Matt Whiting's done a little bit of testing, and stem-free cherries are sellable and are marketable, and I think that's something that we're going to have to look at for the future to do.